Brothers and sisters in Christ, good evening.
Good evening.
I am Brother Stanley Villavicencio from the Philippines. What I'm going to tell you is about what happened to me, about my own personal encounter with Jesus Christ of the Divine Mercy. And I hope after hearing my testimony, it would increase your faith that there is really a God and that our God is a living God. What happened to me happened last March 2, 1993. That was a Tuesday and birthday of one of my children. By the way, at that time, I have 10 children. But now, I have 13. What happened to me last March 2, 1993? And by the way, I'm a member of the Perpetual Dawn Rosary. And it is our practice that whenever there is an occasion in our house, we invite the Blessed Virgin Mary in our house. And it is also a practice that whenever the Virgin comes into our house, it is I who have to receive the Virgin. But on that day, when the Virgin is already in our house, whatever they do to wake me up, I cannot be awakened. So it was my mother-in-law who received the Virgin. At 8 o'clock in that morning, my mother-in-law said she heard me moaning and moaning. So she tried to look at me in my room, and she found me lying in bed, trembling vigorously, and blood coming out from my mouth forcefully. And it also happens that the sister of my father-in-law, who is a nurse, was present. So she attended to me immediately. And when she touches my pulse, she cannot find any pulse beat anymore. When she touches my breast, my heartbeat is already very, very slow. When she opened my eyes, both eyes are already in white. So they asked help from our neighbors, and they brought me to Chonghua Hospital. And they hired 4 specialist doctors. And the doctor said that my chance of survival is 1 in a million, because my heartbeat is already very, very slow. As I enter the emergency room, I cannot breathe anymore, even with the help of oxygen. So they transferred me to the ICU, or intensive care unit, so that my breathing can be aided through ambu-bagging. At the ICU, that my trembling and the coming out of blood from my mouth did not stop. So they injected me with Valium to control everything. And because Negros Island and Cebu are just very near, so that very day, my relatives arrived, including my father, who is a doctor, and my sister, who is also a doctor, and the relatives of my wife, who are also doctors, were present. The following day, the doctors called up my wife and asked permission to remove all the life support apparatus in my body, because they said there is no more chance of survival, because my organs, all of my organs stopped. And when they suck my blood, put it in a spoon, turn around the spoon, not a single blood falls. That's why the doctor also commented that rugby is much better, because it would fall. And since there is no more chance of survival, so my wife called up our house and asked that my long sleeve shirt be prepared for my use. And since my mother-in-law said she had a memorial plan, and that her memorial plan is transferable, so she had it transferred to my name, meaning I will be just the one to use her coffin. And it also happened that we have a reservation at the Queen City Garden, a memorial cemetery in Cebu. Because when my father-in-law died in 1987, we buy 3 lots. So they process the papers so that I can be brought to the Queen City Garden. Meaning, everything is ready. I have already a shirt to wear, and I have already a coffin to be put in, and I have already a cemetery to live in. But God has a different plan, because none of my relatives agreed to remove the life support apparatus from my body. In fact, they keep on turns in bugging me. They keep turns in bugging me. But it is only my body present at the ICU of Chonghua Hospital, because I saw a light, a very bright light, but not glaring. We can stare at it. It's like a fog. Slowly it evaporates until I notice someone is standing in front of me, dressed in white, all in white, like this. And as I look his face, I said to myself, this is Jesus. And as we are looking at each other, he raised his left hand. And as he raised his left hand, the clouds up above was sucked downward. And when it reaches up just above us, the cloud keeps on turning and changes its color. It changes its color until it stops. And when it stops, it turns into a video screen. It turned into a video screen. And then he shows the film of my life. He showed me the film of my life from childhood up to my present. Every time I do good, it just go on normally. But I notice that every time I do wrong, suddenly it would go into a slow-mo. It would go into a slow motion every time I do a mistake. As if he wants to show us that we have committed a mistake. As if he wants to show us that what we have done is wrong. And since I have also committed a bigger mistake, like what we call a mortal sin, every time that comes out, it would suddenly stop, enlarge it. He would stop it, enlarge it. That I said to myself, why should this be included? There must be no bird of censor in heaven, because it is too bad to look at. Just too bad to look at. But I notice that even if I will close my eyes, I can still see it. And he showed everything up to my present. In fact, he had reviewed it 3 times. He reviewed my film 3 times. And after a long conversation, he tapped my shoulder and he said, you go back now, because you still have so many things to do. You still have so many things to finish. If I have something for you, if I have a message for you, I will just appear to you in a dream. After saying that,